Okay, let me get back to the Zoom window here. Sorry for taking so long, guys. I wanted to get, there we go. All right, now I was able to let her in. There we go. Okay. All right, we're back on, and my mom is going to be continuing for us in Amos chapter 9. Let me just make sure this is, I think we should be fine here. Go ahead, Mom.
Okay, chapter 9. I saw Yahuwah standing by the altar, and he said, strike the tops of the pillars so that the thresholds shake. Cut off the heads of all the people. Those who are left I will kill with the sword. Not one will get away. None will escape. Though they dig down to the depths of the grave, from there my hand will take them. Though they climb up to the heavens, from there I will bring them down. Though they hide themselves on top of Carmel, there I will hunt them down and seize them. Though they hide from me at the bottom of the sea, there I will command the serpent to bite them. Though they are driven into exile by their enemies, there I will command the sword to slay them. I will fix my eyes upon them for evil and not for good. Yahuwah, Yahuwah Almighty, he who touches the earth and it melts, and all who live in it mourn. The whole land rises like the Nile, even sinks like the river of Egypt. He who builds his lofty palace in the heavens and sets its foundation on the earth, who calls for the waters of the sea and pours them out over the face of the land. Yahuwah is his name. Are not you Israelites the same to me as the Cushites? Declares Yahuwah. Did I not bring Yashrael up from Egypt and Philistines from Caphtor? And my little footnote says Crete when it says the word Caphtor. So
yep, LXX, yep.
From Crete.
Yep.
And the Arabians from Kir. Surely the eyes of the sovereign Yahuwah are on the sinful kingdom. I will destroy it from the face of the earth. Yet I will not totally destroy the house of Yaakov, declares Yahuwah. For I will give the command, and I will shake the house of Yashrael among all the nations, as grain is shaken in a sieve. But not a kernel will fall to the ground. All the sinners among my people will die by the sword. All those who say disaster will not overtake or meet us. In that day, I will restore David's fallen tent. I will repair its broken places, restore its ruins, and build it as it used to be, that they may possess the remnant of Edom and all the nations that hear my name, declares Yahuwah, who will do these things. The days are coming, declares Yahuwah, when the reaper will be overtaken by the plowman, and the planter by the one treading grapes. New wine will drip from the mountains and flow from all the hills. I will bring back my exiled people, Yashrael. They will rebuild the ruined cities and live in them. They will plant vineyards and drink their wine. They will make gardens and eat their fruit. I will plant Yashrael in their own land, never again to be uprooted from the land I have given them, says Yahuwah your Elohim.
Hallelujah. So you got the promise of the regathering, like a little millennial type of stuff right there. What's interesting, and I think this is very interesting, verse 12, I don't know if yours reads like this, but it says that the remnant of mankind and all the Gentiles upon whom my name is called. Seems like a little grafting in there. May earnestly seek me. I like how the Septuagint says earnestly seek me, says Yahuwah, who does all these things. And then talks about, behold, the days are coming, the harvest. So, you know, Matthew 13, you can link with Amos 9, verse 13, the harvest. Okay, the tares, the wheat. Okay, the mountains shall drop sweet wine, all the hills shall be planted, and I will turn the captivity, future tense, captivity of my people, Yashrael, and they shall rebuild the ruined cities. I guess you could say this is partially fulfilled with Yehuda coming back to the land. I guess you could say that, even though the house of Israel never came back as a whole. They never came back. Certain individuals stayed back, but as a whole house, the northern house never came back. So this can't be fully fulfilled. And shall inhabit them, they shall plant vineyards. Yeah, so again, people could probably say, okay, well, they came back after, they came back in 500 and something BC. Yeah, I guess you could say that, but that's only a partial fulfillment. I will plant them. I will plant them on their land. So I, not Cyrus, okay, so this has to be future. I will plant them on their land, and they shall no more be plucked up from the land which I have given them, says Yahuwah Elohim Almighty. And notice it says no more be plucked up from the land. Well, Yahuwah plucked them in 70 AD. So obviously, not chapter 9, verse 15 is future. And I would make a little note of that if it was me. This has to be future, verse 15 here. Okay, so this is like millennial context. See here, I see we got a couple people with their raised hands. Let me just see if there's anything I wanted to mention. The restoration of the root of David, you could say, in a way, because it says, in that day I will raise up the tabernacle of David. I don't think he's referring to a literal like tent.
No.
I think he's referring in a spiritual concept that he's talking about the root, the shoot of David, the root of Jesse.
Right.
So this is like, in my opinion, it's an idiomatic allegory to the Messiah, and that the Messiah is coming back, in my opinion. And talks about the tabernacle of David that has fallen, and we'll rebuild the ruins of it, and we'll set up the parts of thereof that have been broken down. I mean, you could say it's a physical application. If you're going to talk about the throne of David maybe being the tabernacle of David, I get it, because there hasn't been a king sitting on David's throne for a while, so I could see definitely a physical application of that. So let me see here. All the sinners of my people shall die. Now this should be really a warning to us and scary. It says all the sinners of my people shall die by the sword, who say calamity shall certainly not draw near, nor one come upon us. And you see a lot of this in the church today. You see, you'll see them say the Lord has given me a word that calamities are not coming, that peace is coming. And the prosperity preachers. Okay, to me, Amos 9:10 is warning against such preachers, is warning against people that supposedly have a prophecy. Supposedly had a dreamer, dreamer of dreams that is not according to Yahuwah's word. Amos 9:10 is a very huge warning, in my opinion, to that. And just to add to what my mom was mentioning about the footnote about Crete, a lot of the times the Greek version, the Septuagint, will have the word Crete there instead of Captor. So it seems like it might have been the same area, possibly. So anyway, talks about the Syrians in verse 7. See here, establishes the promise on the earth. So his covenant promise is referenced in verse 6. He that builds his ascent up to the sky or the firmament and establishes his promise on the earth, who calls the water of the sea, again, who commanded the waters to be still, Yahusha. It says right here that Yahuwah calls the water of the sea and pours it out on the face of the earth. Yahuwah Almighty is his name. Yahuwah Almighty is he that takes hold of the land and causes it to shake, and all that inhabit it shall mourn, and its destruction shall go up as a river and shall descend as the river of Egypt. To me, like when I look at verse 5, especially what we've been taught in the public school system as the shape of the earth, I would find that hard to do if it's a globe for it to shake like that. I don't know how you'd be doing that spinning constantly. I don't know. Maybe someone could elaborate and explain to me how that's going to happen. It's the Earth is a globe, a ball, and constantly spinning. How it's going to shake out of its place. I don't know. I'm not trying to be facetious here, but I'm just saying, I don't know. That's kind of hard to me for that to happen. But anyway, kind of violates the laws of a lot of things, even gravity. But anyway, so anyway, that's all I wanted to add. I think pretty much everything else my mom read was self-explanatory. Does your first verse of your version say mercy seat? Does it mention the mercy seat? Because this is pretty important. The mercy seat is like where
it just says by the altar.
Well, the mercy seat is actually a specific part of the altar.
Sure.
If I'm not mistaken, the mercy seat would be like what, near the ark or something like that?
And it says standing by the altar.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, well, the altar's on this version too, but it says, I saw you who was standing on the altar, and he said, smite the mercy seat. What is the NIV saying?
Mine said tops of the pillars. Strike the tops of the pillars.
Yeah, so that's a legitimate difference.
Yeah.
That's a legitimate variant in the two texts there. So LXX has mercy seat. Just write that down. All right, my bad, guys, for making you guys wait so long. Go ahead. I don't know who was first. Whoever was first, unmute yourselves. Feel free. I see 2 hands up. So whoever, I don't know, whoever wants to go first. Joshua.
Go ahead, Marcia.
Okay, brother. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so you read the part where it said that the father was talking about the dead that's underneath the sea. Do you believe that those are the giants that are going to be coming up?
Well, I think giants are probably there, but you also have regular humans that would be in the sea of the abyss. Because say, like, for hypothetically speaking, throughout history of time, you have sailors that die at sea. Where are they going to go? What you got to understand is hell or Sheol, there's a abyss of waters. And like I said, unless we understand the Hebrew cosmology, the true way the earth is shaped, you're not going to understand certain verses like this. So he's talking about all the dead that's in the sea, not just the giants, not just the hybrids. Every dead person that's in the sea that's not written in the book of life, mind you, will be thrown into like a fire, according to Revelations. So that would have definitely included the giants, obviously, because they can't be written in the book of life. They're hybrids. They're not creations of the Father. They're abominations. They can't be saved. The Messiah, one of the reasons they can't be saved, which I agree 100% with Chuck Missler, is that they're not the seed of the woman. Okay, so the giants, the hybrids, I'm not trying to be mean or anything, but they are the seed of the serpent physically.
Yeah.
So they are against us. They're not of the seed of man. So if they're something different from the seed of man, Yahusha came to save mankind. He didn't come to save abominations that were never supposed to exist. I know that sounds harsh, but you got to understand, these were things that were never supposed to exist. And even a wider application of this would be centaurs, satyrs, all these hybrid animals were never created by Yahuwah. They were created by these abomination monstrous giants. For lack of a better term, the giants, that are stylized, according to Josephus, his own words, stylized by the Greeks as the Titans or the giants.
So Doug, if that's the case, you said that you believe that dinosaurs were in the ark. So why would the Father keep the dinosaurs then?
Well, dinosaurs are his creations. Leviathan's a type of dinosaur. Behemoth's a type of dinosaur. Not all dinosaurs are hybrids. I don't believe all dinosaurs are hybrids. The plant-eating dinosaurs, when you look at the difference, like, let's just give them the benefit of the doubt that they're categorizing these dinosaurs correctly. That's I know that's giving them a lot. That's giving mainstream science a lot. but let's say these plant-eating dinosaurs are different from the animal-eating dinosaurs, and they originally looks like they looked. When I look at a T-Rex, the difference between a T-Rex and what I believe Behemoth would have looked like, yeah, that's a huge difference. Behemoth, Brontosaurus, Brachiosaurus, I could see that being a creation of Yahuwah. I could see that being a creation of Yahuwah. I have a hard time though looking at a Velociraptor, looking at a T-Rex, and the way they got these reptilian eyes of them, and I don't know. There's just something about them, in my opinion. This is conjecture, of course, can't prove it, but when we see certain creations of Yahuwah says he created them. In the book of Job, he talks about Behemoth, which I believe, if you look at the description of Behemoth, it's very close to a Brachiosaurus. And when you look at Leviathan, Leviathan's a sea dragon or a sea dinosaur. So there are dinosaurs that probably Yahuwah created. And this is, again, unfortunately, we've been brainwashed with evolution. Evolution is not fact, it's a theory. It's a theory by a guy that most people have found out that, Darwin was, a little bit high on something when he's making his theory anyway. People have researched and found out that Darwin might have been on drugs when he was on the Galapagos Islands. So, his whole theory of evolution could have been like a trance or whatever that, demons could have been telling him to promote this stuff. So again, Yahuwah, he talks about creatures in his word that he created that are similar to what we call today dinosaurs. By the way, FYI, dinosaur in the encyclopedias in the 1800s, the word dinosaur did not exist. Mm-hmm. You can look this up for yourself. In the Merriam-Webster dictionary of like 1833, it would have said dragon. Okay, mm-hmm. A dragon is a dinosaur. Okay, so if dragons are being mentioned in scripture, dragons are not evil. They're creations of Yahuwah. We just stylized what are called dragons in scripture as dinosaurs. That's all that happened. But you can go into researchers, archaeologists in the medieval times, like times that, King Arthur and Camelot and all that. Men were killing dragons all the time. They were killing dragons. They were straight up killing dragons. And so dragons are a real thing. They're not fiction. Unfortunately, we've been taught all these creatures are fake when they're not. Yahuwah has created certain dinosaurs. The problem I have is accepting, I don't know, that he would create something that looks as monstrous as a T-Rex or a Velociraptor. I don't know. There's something about them. When I look at a picture how they're portrayed, there's something about them that looks like some like reptile hybrid stuff. I don't know. It just doesn't. It doesn't. I don't know. And I could be wrong, but I do think dinosaurs in general. There's a lot of places in scripture that talk about creatures that resemble what we call dinosaurs today. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't put dinosaurs in a general speaking in a hybrid stance overall. I think maybe certain dinosaurs were hybrids, not all of them. But anyway, go ahead, brother Joshua.
So I was going to touch on a couple verses, but I'd like to point out that, in my opinion, eyes don't really prove anything. Cats' mm-hmm. eyes are very weird. Crocodiles and alligators' eyes look almost evil. But I don't think that they're a hybrid creation. Also have to consider that we don't have any eyes of extinct animals. We have bones of extinct animals. So the eyes that we're seeing are how Hollywood mm-hmm. is portraying them.
Yeah. Very good point.
The verse 6. Let me get there. Hold on. Verse 6 is you have promised he shall establish his promise on the earth. In the Septuagint, verses Masoretic reads founds his vault upon the earth. So promise upon the earth versus vault upon the earth. Vault. It's also missing Masoretic just reads Yahuwah. Septuagint reads Yahuwah Almighty. We're guessing that should be Sabaoth. Verse 13. Septuagint reads, "The hills shall be planted." Masoretic reads, "The hills shall melt," or "the hills shall flow with it." The ESV reads "flow with it," but the American Standard reads "melt." I want to see real quick what the King James reads. Verse 13. Yeah, the hills shall melt. So the hills shall be planted versus the hills shall melt. It's a weird difference.
Yeah.
I think that was it.
Yeah. Oh, good point, brother. I definitely, I would have to agree with you, and I possibly could be wrong about what I was saying before about the T-Rexes. I definitely take that back because you're right about the crocodiles and all that. They do have same type of eyes and stuff like that, and
They're
obviously,
also carnivorous and
Mhm. Yeah, most reptiles aren't they? Like chameleons, aren't they carnivorous too?
I don't really know.
I would want to look that up because I think a lot of reptiles are.
I'm not a fan of them, so that's probably not why I researched
Oh,
any of this.
I had a gecko when growing up.
I
remember,
wouldn't even
so-
let him have a gecko in my house when he was like little. He had to do that at his dad's house. I'm very, ooh.
And I remember the gecko, I had to feed him crickets, so they are carnivorous.
Oh, yeah.
They are. So yeah, that's true. So yeah, again, I don't think we have any proof that dinosaurs would have been put in the same category as like a satyr. Or, I don't know that. I really doubt they were hybrids. Seriously doubt it. But you know, as going back to the question about the sea, I think when it's talking about all the dead that's in the sea, I think it's literally means all the dead, not just dead abominations, but all dead. You know, anyone that, according to Revelations, anyone that would have not accepted Yahusha in their previous life, you know, they're not going to be written in the book of life. So that's why Revelation says all the dead that are in the sea would be, you know, thrown into the lake of fire.
What I believe, Doug, is that once man had sinned, that's when the carnivorous animals came into being. It was like part of thorns, thistles, bugs, you know, that kind of thing. The wicked side of things.
Oh, that's a possibility. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very good possibility. But yeah, yeah, definitely. I definitely stand firm though that these creatures are not. I could not put them in the same category as satyrs, centaurs. Those are definitely not of Yahuwah. Centaurs, minotaurs. Oh my goodness, I've researched that topic enough, of all these different hybrids that Greek mythology has, which, you know, it's not really mythology, but it's their religion and it's their, you know, they worship these abominations and they esteem them as something too when they're not. But yeah, Shoshana might actually have a point about that, because I do notice that, at least for us, the meat eating, and again, this is conjecture, I can't really prove this, but because Genesis doesn't literally say they started to eat clean animals, but you do have a necessary, you have a necessity for sacrificing now because sin entered the world, and you know, we had this discussion last Sabbath. So I definitely would agree the meat eating seems to not have happened until the fall. I would definitely agree with Sister Shoshana there. In general, the meat eating seems to not be a necessity until the fall of mankind and sin and all that. Go ahead, Sister Marissa. I see you got your hand up. Go ahead.
Oh no, that was an old hand. Sorry.
Oh, it's okay. No problem. No problem. So yeah, definitely interesting thoughts here. So definitely interesting concept about that. But yeah, and just FYI, like again, the your version might not say sea, it might say Sheol. It's kind of like the same thing because the sea that he's talking about would be the waters of the abyss. So it's kind of like the same general area. You know, you have the underworld, and then you have the waters under the underworld, so to speak. So that's why in the Aramaic version of Revelations, it talks about the beast, Apollyon, and says in Revelation 17, it says he will ascend out of the sea in the Aramaic. So it's kind of the same thing. It's the same general area, just that you have waters under the waters of the abyss and all that. So, which abyss, by the way, is just a fancy, I think, Greek word for bottomless pit, if I'm not mistaken. Abyss just means bottomless pit. So anyway. All right, so I think that's it for the prophets portion. We just got one more portion left. What we got here? We got any takers for Matthew chapter 12? Anyone new want to read? I know usually we have Joshua read. Anyone else want to read? Dennis, Shoshana, Marissa? Let's see here. Is Josie on today? Okay, never mind. I was gonna see if she wanted to read. But anyone that wants to volunteer, feel free.
Sister Sally's a good reader.
Yeah, Sister Sally, do you want to read? Or maybe she can't hear me. I don't know. All right, going once, twice.
I can hear you. I can hear you. What would you like me to read?
In a moment, I would like you to finish us off here and read Matthew 12. So